The last time I covered a LucasArts adventure game on this channel was over 3 years ago in the Loom video.
Loom!
Asking me about Loom.
Bugger off!
It was a strange video, but it was the early days of my channel, so that's kind of to be expected. And since then I haven't actually covered any other LucasArts games, so it's probably about time that I did. So how about the newly remastered Day of the Tentacle? Just to ignore the Sam and Max there.
After all these years, LucasArts' classic adventure has finally been re-released. The idea of remaking Day of the Tentacle has been tossed around for years now. According to Kotaku, a remaster was 80% finished back in 2012 before LucasArts was dissolved by Disney in the huge buyout. But with the remaster of Grim Fandango from Double Fine, a partnership had already been established, and so Tim Schafer has snagged Day of the Tentacle as well, another game that he worked on back in the day.
And considering I was given a review copy of this game, I thought I might as well take a look.
Day of the Tentacle is the 1993 sequel to Maniac Mansion, a game well known for its violence against hamsters.
Dead.
However, Day of the Tentacle is much more widely acclaimed than its predecessor, to the point where not everyone will realise that it's actually a sequel. The game very much stands alone.
Day of the Tentacle is touted as one of the best adventure games of all time, and yeah, it pretty much is, and I'm going to get into why right now.
Day of the Tentacle follows three protagonists, Bernard, Hoagie and Laverne, three very strange people, all with a surprising amount of depth to them. Essentially, you explore the Maniac Mansion in 3 time periods, past, present and future, and you try to put a stop to a future where hyper-intelligent human-hating tentacles rule the world with an iron fist. The progenitor of this crisis is the aptly named Purple Tentacle, known to be a little antagonistic from the last game, especially in comparison to the much more docile Green Tentacle.
Yeah! Good luck in saving the world, B-Man!
In the intro of this game, Purple drinks some sludge from a pipe, and as a result becomes
Smarter. More aggressive.
And then comes this classic line, with the bold claim that he could
Take on the world.
And realistically, he can do just that. So it's up to our 3 very odd heroes to take him down a notch, along with the help of mad scientist Dr. Fred.
To the time machine!
So let's talk about our 3 protagonists here. Bernard Bernoulli is your average geek and the only returning protagonist from the previous game.
I miss Razor.
Bernard kind of plays the straight man of the trio, but he's definitely a charming character in his own right.
Sure, lay one of those Havanan babies on me.
Hoagie is a rather wide metalhead, and he's also a bit of a slob. Lovely.
He's kind of like if you took Ted from Bill and Ted and just kind of squashed him down a little bit and made him a bit wider. That's pretty much who Hoagie is.
He's also one of the funniest characters in the game, if you ask me.
My friend Eddie told me the pyramids are built by aliens. Way.
And lastly we have Laverne, a wacky looking girl who is unlike any other female protagonist I've ever seen. She has this voice like she's constantly spacing out, and this crazy glint in her eyes. Also, she carries around a scalpel.
Are you gonna use your scalpel?
No, of course not.
Darn. Do you want to use mine?
No.
Yeah, she's a little freaky. So these 3 heroes are forced to use the Chronogon, a set of time-travelling porta-potties, to go back to the past and stop Purple from drinking the sludge. And it fails, because Dr. Fred uses a knockoff diamond as a power source. So Hoagie is sent 200 years into the past, and Laverne is sent 200 years into the future, while Bernard stays in the present. So the overall goal is to return Hoagie and Laverne to the present, get a diamond, and defeat Purple Tentacle and his diabolical schemes.
I find it really interesting how this game basically takes place in one location, but in 3 time zones, so it never feels very cramped.
Each time zone is visually distinct from the other. The past uses a lot of dull browns and greens, the present is more vibrant with oranges and blues, and
everything is chrome in the future!
The art style of this game is also fantastic. Everything has this askew, exaggerated feel to it, and it translates incredibly well into the remastered graphics. Even the characters have these weird proportions and walk cycles which reflect their personality traits. Bernard has this goofy, nerdy walk, Hoagie kinda shuffles with his hands in his pockets, and Laverne kinda just dances along madly. It's really rad design. I mean, every single character is unique, even if they're intended to look similar to their ancestors. It makes each and every person in this game memorable. In terms of interface, Double Fine did away with the verbs for the remaster to have more on screen, I guess. And I get the decision, but I am a fan of verbs. I mean, just remember what I said in my Dragon Sphere video. I love me some verbs in adventure games. I really do love that kind of thing, but now things are a little more streamlined. All you have to do is right click on something and you can see all the possible verbs for an object. In some ways, it can feel like your hand is being held, but in other ways, it's better than having to work out the right verb for a solution you already know. Ultimately, I'm kinda indifferent about this, but you can actually get the verbs comes back by enabling Classic Mode anyway. Classic Mode is accessible through a single button press here, much like the remakes of the first two Monkey Island games, with the same smooth transition.
Although there is one questionable part of the remaster.
Look at this painting in Classic Mode. Not entirely sure who it is, it looks a little like Coyote-Mundi, but I wonder who that is in the remastered version. Boom. It's Jar Jar.
You know, I think that painting is the key to all this. I mean, if they got that painting working, I mean, it's a funnier painting than they've ever had in Day of the Tentacle before.
In the past, Hoagie meets some ancestors of Dr. Fred, some of whom are very different.
Neither of us are following in his tiny scientific footsteps.
And others are not so different.
I'm inventing, you simpleton. What's it look like I'm doing?
Hoagie also comes into contact with several figures from history because, I mean, they're just here for some reason. It's a bit random, but at the same time, I kinda love it. He meets George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Hancock, and Benjamin Franklin.
The science of electrodynamics, much like your mind apparently, is still in a state of relative infancy.
That stings, Benjamin.
Because of the time travel element to this game, it actually ends up being a puzzle mechanic. Yeah, you can actually use the butterfly effect to your advantage. It's an awesome concept, and I think the only other time I've seen it used is in Season 2 of Sam & Max. Basically, things you change in the past can have effects in the present and beyond. For instance, Hoagie can change the design of the American flag into a tentacle, and then Laverne can repurpose this flag into a tentacle disguise in the future.
Yeah, it's totally ridiculous, but I love the puzzle design here, it's just so fun.
Another important puzzle mechanic is the chronogon, and while the characters can't interact with each other directly, they can send items to each other. You'll find yourself doing this a lot, and there's no limit to what you can send. You can send the wrong items and the game doesn't tell you not to do that. You'll have to choose what each character may or may not need. And of course, what would a LucasArts adventure game be without some witty comments here and there?
I'm not touching it. These models have a history of leakage.
I don't blame you, Bernard.
Yeah, they do poke fun of the microwave hamster incident in the first game in this one, quite often actually. The references of violence towards hamsters is apparent right from the beginning.
Look, Hoagie, it's a hamster. Just what I need for dissection lab tomorrow.
I think I need that for the band, Laverne. You know, like we could bite its head off or whatever.
Poor little guy even gets microwaved in this one. Luckily only to defrost him after Bernard puts him in an icebox for 200 years. But I did get a bit worried for him. You can get him a cute jumper though.
He's got a little jumper, I mean, I love this game.
It goes without saying that this game is really damn funny. I mean, LucasArts were amazing at that. Every joke they would make, especially in comparison to Sierra titles, would be genuinely funny. Sierra could be funny, but their humour, it wouldn't always land. At least in my opinion. There's a lot of slapstick humour here. And there's a lot of wit too.
I'm no marble delivery man, but rock is my life.
You know, I honestly live for dumb puns like that.
And in standard LucasArts fare, you have to act like a complete asshat in order to get things done in this game. Ruin a guy's art career? You can do that. Destroy George Washington's teeth? You can do that. Ruin a mentally unstable man's stamp collection? Wouldn't you know? You can do that too. It's pretty much just classic LucasArts to be doing stuff like this. And it is funny, even if you do feel bad for the lives you may ruin in order to, well, usually just steal a single item. This isn't the longest game ever, I mean it shouldn't take more than a few hours to beat, but it is a wonderful, zany, bizarre experience nonetheless. The universe has so many bizarre things in it that when you see something like a talking horse...
Hi, horsey.
Oh, hi yourself.
You just accept it. That's just something that exists in this game, you might as well just accept it. The game is mechanically impressive, offering some of the strangest and most out there puzzles that are never so obscure that they have you annoyed. I'd say it's almost perfect. It's graphically unique and stylized in a way that draws you into this insane cartoon universe. And this is only accentuated by the remaster. Not to mention, the remaster includes developer commentary, concept art, and a totally redone soundtrack as well.
I feel like I'm being a bit too positive here, but the game really is that good. It's some of LucasArts' finest work, and Double Fine did an amazing job bringing it back to the 21st century.
If I'm being honest, I'd like to see them get their hands on Sam & Max Hit the Road as well. I feel like Double Fine would do an amazing job remastering that one. And they're already doing Full Throttle for next year, so that should be pretty awesome too.
And I don't know how to end this video, so I'm just gonna let Dr. Fred do the honours.
Well, kiddies, it's been more fun than a jumpsuit full of weasels. Now kindly get your freakish hide out of my home.